Good morning, my dear students. I hope you all are keeping safe and healthy. My name is Abha and I'm here today to share a story with all of you. The name of the story is Prince Henry. So once upon a time on a faraway island there lived a prince. His name was Henry. He lived in a big castle with his parents who were the king and the queen. Prince Henry really enjoyed being the prince. He could do really exciting things like riding the horse, rescuing animals from the woods, and attending a lot of royal parties. Though he would usually sneak out of them. Prince Henry did not know many people, but the few people he did, he really cared for them. And one of them was his servant Thomas. Thomas had been Prince Henry's servant for a very long time. They had actually become really good friends. They had a lot of common interests. And Thomas would always help Prince Henry in his royal duties. He would help him get ready every day. And apart from that, Thomas was not very rich. Neither did he had a lot of money or he earned a lot of money. But there was so much of love between them that Prince Henry would often share his things with him or even surprise him with amazing gifts. After a few years, the king and the queen thought that it was almost time that Prince Henry should marry. And thinking of this, the king wrote down a very important invitation and sent it across to all the royal families so that they could bring their princesses and Prince Henry would choose one of them to marry and settle down. They were looking for a very, very special princess. After a few days, Prince Henry was woken up by a loud buzz of noises beneath his window. He got up and he opened his curtains. He exclaimed, "Wow!" He couldn't actually believe his eyes. There were hundreds of beautiful princesses standing in his courtyard. He had to really get ready fast. He had to find out what was going on. And so Thomas helped him get ready. Quickly he dashed downstairs and he said, "Hello everyone, welcome to my kingdom. I hope you don't mind if I ask you, what are you all doing here?" Now the entire crowd looked really puzzled. And then came a voice. It was his father's. The king entered and said, "My son, I have invited all of them. Your mother and I have thought that it is time that you actually marry and settle down. All these princes are here for you. You have to choose one of them to get married." Prince Henry thought for a while and he said, "That's really thoughtful of you, father, and I'm really thankful for whatever you did. But I have already decided whom I will marry." The king was surprised. He said, "Really? Who is she? Tell us." Henry said, "Yes, I have decided. I want to marry Thomas." The moment Prince Henry said this, his cheeks had turned pink, and so felt Thomas. Henry had loved and liked Thomas for a very, very long time, and Thomas also felt the same. But neither of them had actually expressed their feelings. The king at the same moment also was red, but that was for a totally different reason. He was extremely furious. He said, "What? This is not possible. How can you marry Thomas? He's a man and he's your servant. It is not at all allowed in our law and tradition. You cannot marry him. A prince is only supposed to marry a princess." Henry replied. He said, "Well, in that case, I don't want to be the prince anymore. Dad, I really love you, and I understand how much you care for me. But at the same moment, I think it is very important that I am allowed to marry the person I love. And if it is not that, then I don't want to be the prince any longer. He took off his crown and handed it over to his father. Everyone present there was extremely shocked, but they listened to each and every word that Henry spoke. He added, God has made each and every person unique in its own way. So am I and Thomas. We are unique, we are priceless. We all have our hearts and have different choices and liking. And as humans, we have the right to choose we want to marry. And I'm 100% sure that I am happy with my choice. And Thomas will always keep me happy in my entire life. When the king heard this, he was filled with surprise. And at the same moment, he also realized what he had been taught since his childhood. His eyes actually welled up with tears, and he said, "Well, Henry, I'm sorry. Nobody has ever taught me this before. If you are happy with what you have chosen, then I don't think that I can object to it, because your happiness is very, very important." And then he returned the crown to Henry. After Henry put back his crown, everyone in the crowd cheered. They all were happy with this new thought, with the acceptance of their choices, Henry and Thomas. And then Henry asked Thomas, "So, Thomas, what do you think? Will you marry me?" And after a few months, a small crowd had gathered in the woods where the weather was good, it was pleasant. And everyone celebrated the love of Thomas and Henry. One was the prince and the other was not. But then the society had actually accepted their choices, and nobody cared for the status, for the gender. With this, we come to the end of the story about Prince Henry and his choice. But my dear friends and folks, it is very, very important that we understand that we all are unique in our own ways. We all have our own different likings. And nobody, not our parents, not our society, can force us to do which we don't want to. Even I would like to share this message with all the parents to understand their kids, their children, and not force them into a marriage they are not happy. It will not only destroy their kids' life, but also the life of the other person. Thank you so much.